in the recent developments?
It was 27, so they pulled me off stage. So, yes. A couple years ago, 12 years ago at this point, I worked with Bruce and we butted heads, and it came out in the press and people started asking me about it and I started addressing it, and that's the way it was for years. And then, you get older and shit becomes water under the bridge. There was a time in my life where like cop out was the worst thing that ever happened to me and shit. And then I grew up, and I stopped bitching, and then we found out fairly recently, just this week, that Bruce is suffering from aphasia. And, instantly, all the fucking strife and all the friction, all that shit, all the, grudge that I fucking held, I haven't watched like Die Hard in years and stuff, just slipped away because aphasia is pretty damn cruel. It takes away your ability to communicate the way you're used to communicating. You can't form words so much, and tough to get a thought across. Not to mention, it's pretty hard. So, in that moment when I read the news, I stopped thinking about Bruce Willis as the guy I worked with, and I started thinking about Bruce Willis as the guy who I used to watch on TV as a kid with my mom and watch Moonlight every Wednesday night or something like that. It was on Tuesday night. Tuesdays at 9, I think. And how he was like this is gonna sound so weird. He was like second generation Bill Murray. What Bill Murray was doing in Stripes and, doing in Meatballs, later on Ghostbusters. Like Bruce had that same, Bugs Bunny kind of acerbic nature. When he played David Addison, he was absolutely fucking brilliant. And I fell in love with that character, fell in love with the actor, found out he was from Penns Grove, New Jersey, took great pride in that. Pride of Penns Grove, New Jersey, motherfuckers from our state. When I was learning to drive, bless you, he had an album out, Return to Bruno.
Yeah.
And that album, the cassette, my friend Ernie O'Donnell, I learned to drive on his truck. He was older than me, so you guys like it first. That cassette, the Bruce cassette, got stuck in his tape player, so that was the only fucking cassette that we could listen to for a good fucking year until Ernie replaced his tape deck. But we didn't give a shit because we fucking loved that album. And Bruce was just the epitome of fucking cool and stuff. And so I thought about how much Bruce used to love to act based on watching Moonlight. And I thought about how much Bruce used to love to sing, based on the albums. Usually more than one album. I bought them all. And then I was real fucking heartbroken. It didn't matter the shit that we went through on Kaka. It didn't matter that, at one point, I got so frustrated, I went in the trailer and put my fist through the trailer wall because I was so unbelievably frustrated. I'm not a swinger. I'm not a person. Well, I'm not a swinger, but I'm not this guy. But I was so Cuba Gooding Jr. in Boys in the Hood when he was just swinging at the air and shit. All that went away, and I just thought about how fucking sad he must be. This guy that I, used to adore. That can't be the thing that defined him. So I put up that tweet. Thought it was the least I could do. I know I'd take some shit for it. But some people are like, oh, you're sorry now and shit. But it's you can't not do a thing because there are assholes in the world. Assholes are gonna asshole. So naturally there's gonna be some people who are like, oh, after 12 years you fucking apologize. Most people took it in the spirit which it was given, which was I don't give a shit about that anymore. I'm just sad for a guy that I absolutely adored for the rest of my life. even for moments while we're making that movie. I don't really talk about because the moments that were unpleasant would outweigh the pleasant moments. And then I got a phone call. Same day that I found out and I heard that tweet. And it was from Mark Cohen. And Mark Cohen's a friend of mine, him and his brother Robbie Cohen wrote a screenplay for A Couple of Dicks, which was the movie that became Cop Out. They made us change the title. A Couple of Dicks was an amazing title. Warner Brothers asked NBC, who was doing the Olympics that year, like, would you run an ad for a movie called A Couple of Dicks in the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour? And they were like, no. So based on that, we had to change our title. And eventually we landed on Cop Out. I cannot imagine today a network turning down fucking money for a commercial based on the title of the movie. Like, I guarantee you today, if they were making A Couple of Dicks and they called NBC, like, we would like to air a fucking trailer for a movie called A Couple of Dicks in the 8 o'clock hour. And they'd be like, you could show A Couple of Dicks in the 8 o'clock hour. Anything to get people to watch fucking TV again. But back then, that wasn't the case. So they made us, change the title. The title became Cop Out. So Robbie and Mark wrote Cop Out, and they're both older than me, closer to Bruce's age. And Bruce, I called them the Bruce Whisperer, because Bruce, didn't relate to me at all at a certain point, but he did relate to Robbie and Mark. So Robbie and Mark were kind of the go-between, between me and Bruce and stuff. Not like I didn't talk to Bruce about Bruce all the time, but they would try to keep things salve the woman's gap. He didn't mean it when he said that, stuff like that. So Mark calls me up and he goes, hey, and I haven't spoken to Mark in like a year or 2 years. He goes, hey, I read your tweet. And I was like, I know. I said, do you think the aphasia goes that far back? He's like, 12 years? I don't know. He's going, that's why I'm calling you. I saw your tweet. It looks like you beat yourself up. And I said, I feel like an asshole. And he goes, I need you to know something. And at this point, I'm like, Mark's going to tell me something that's going to hurt my heart even fucking more. Like, Mark's going to spit some fucking truth at me, which is going to hurt, but it's going to put me back on track. I'm going to be like, oh yeah. Mark's going to tell me something negative about Bruce, that Bruce said about me, that's going to make it okay. You know what I'm saying? He's going to justify my anger for me. That's what I assume is coming. And so Mark goes, I went to lunch with him about 4 months ago. He called me up. Mark and Bruce had a big falling out as well on a different movie later on. So he's like, he reached out to me and I went to talk to him and he told me about all of this. And he apologized for his behavior on their movie. And he said that Mark, again, this is coming from Mark, he said that Bruce told him that making Cop Out with the Collins was some of the best times he had in the latter part of his career. He had so many laughs. And I was like, well, that's awesome. And he goes, but Kev, he said, and even Kevin. And I go, he did not. He goes, I swear you did. And he also said this, and this is what he goes, I want you all to let me know. He said that he never had any hard feelings. He said that he really liked you. And he knew that he fucked things up for you guys. And that's like, at the end of the day, all I wanted was the guy to like me. Like, I liked him, and I just wanted him to like me too, but it seemed like he didn't. And I don't know if this condition goes back to that, but if it does, it would explain a lot of things. And, you think you know a situation. I would have bet my fucking life, and I knew exactly who Bruce was, based on having worked with him for like 6 months of my life. And now, maybe I just didn't fucking understand. Maybe I just didn't see it. Maybe just I had no I did, you know, you don't share that sort of thing with people. And you know, I'm 51, but you're never too old to learn something important. Mark asked me, he's like, I'm gonna go see him in a couple weeks, do you wanna go? And I was like, I would love that. I don't know, like, I look way different than the last time I worked with him, so I don't even know if I can recognize me. But if it's possible, yeah, I would like to do that. Because I didn't get to that set because I was like, oh, they're paying me much money. They didn't pay me anything. And that's wrong to say anything. I got paid one of my lowest salaries ever as a director in my adult career to make Cop-Out. So I didn't do it for the money. It wasn't like, oh shit, we're making a Warner Brothers movie and we're all gonna get rich. We didn't. It was very modestly budgeted movies, like $22 million. So I wasn't there for the money, I was there for the love. I love Bruce Willis. And, you know, by the end of the process, not so much. And 12 years later, find out maybe there was a pretty good reason for that. So I never would have considered in a zillion fucking years. You think you could be so right about something. I'm just glad I found out, like now, before it's too late. Always, even being able to put up that tweet just to be like, look, my bad, I'm sorry. Just to offer some form of comfort. If anybody in the family sees it, whether they do or not, but having Mark tell me that he likes me destroyed me. That's all I've been thinking about for the last few days, I'll be honest with you. So a lot of people online, I saw a lot of people online calling him the GOAT. You know, like he was the greatest of all time. It's nice to feel that way as well. Again, I agree. Bruce Willis is the GOAT, man. Greatest of all time. Let's give that to Bruce. Ladies and gentlemen, I stopped for the tears and we had a good time this evening. Listen, I'm not going to tell you anything you never heard before, but always remember, lesson I've figured out a lot lately, always remember, you know, you've seen this platitude all over the internet, I'm sure. Always remember, people are always going through something. So, you know, fucking somebody bitches at you in traffic and whatnot, you don't know what's going on in their mind. A little compassion for everybody. I thought I was a very compassionate human being. And I'll be honest with you, I don't feel too bad about being voiced on my own guitar. I don't feel too bad about the universe being like, yeah, you're nice, you've got a ways to go. Teachable moments are important in life. So treat everyone out there as good as you can. It's hostile out there right now. We can all feel it and stuff. So, come at each other, you know, just a little gentler in life. Here at the Comic-Con is easy because it's all love. We're all here for that thing that we love to do and stuff.
Love you, Kevin.
Love you as well. Again, just be very careful going home tonight. Thank you for coming out and hanging out with me.